This morning, we have in the studio with me Afel Moni, the former GJA president, and Jerry Ahmed Shaib, the NPP parliamentary candidate for Wejagbawe, as well as Ebenezer Ndebilla Ebenezer, the NDC parliamentary candidate for Ndebilla Constituency. Gentlemen, it is good to have you in the studio. Welcome aboard the News Review segment.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, great. So usually we'd give you a minute or two to take us through whatever is top of your mind this morning. But I do want to change the strategy a little bit. I want to come to you, Mr. Moni. This election year, having been a president of GJA for so long, and we also have that Joy News Freedom Dialogues coming up shortly, 29th of this month. What key lessons have you learned from observing elections all these years that you think we should not forgo? We should, apply that key lesson all these years that you've been observing our electoral processes. What would that lesson be?
From the outset, let me sprinkle good acts of commendation of Joy FM Multimedia for that superb initiative. We should never take the potential for violence for granted. Since we abandoned the bullet course and embraced the ballot box as means of electing our leaders in 1992, we've had 8 elections on the trot successfully, with some issues, especially last year, the last election, 2020.
Yeah.
Experts tell us that 8 elections on the spin are an indication of democratic maturity. But for Christ's sake, we should never be intoxicated by that achievement, no matter how narcotic the feeling might be. Because America, which started as the mother of all democracies, America was teetering on the brink of a disaster, a national disaster, of incalculable calculations, incalculable implications. But through the hand of God, He saved them. The previous elections also indicated 2008, 2012, 2016 were also at the precipice, but took the grace of God to pull us back. So all those are indication that we should never take anything for granted. That's the more reason why we need to pump the idea of peace. Peace is said to be the ultimate of life, and the media have a crucial role to champion peace, champion the cause of peace, ingrained in the consciousness of every Ghanaian that peace has no alternative. Peace, there's no alternative for peace, and it can take a small spark to set this whole nation ablaze.
You know that song, "It Only Takes a Spark to Get the Fire"? Well, thank you so much for those very insightful thoughts. And peace is the goal, no matter what. And Ghana must win. Winning means that peaceful elections, peaceful transfer of power, and no lives lost. Thank you so much, Mr. Moni. Let me come to you, Jerry. Jerry, what's on top of your mind this morning?
Well, I think since the former president, Moni, just talked about peace, it's crucial for us to have more on peace. I mean, you and I will not be sitting here if there is disruption of power. You can imagine the loss of lives, and especially, for me, critically, those who suffer most are women and children.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a married man with children, and my crucial interest is that beyond everything, apart from even thinking of Ghana, I should think of my wife and children. That today, if there is disruption in the peace we are enjoying, what's going to happen to my children? What's going to happen to my wife?
Okay.
What's going to happen to my mother and my father and my siblings? So you see, if you're not even thinking about Ghana, and your brains are somewhere that you cannot even fathom, think about your wife and children. Think about your children, the future of the state, the future of this world. Let everybody understand that every life is crucial, and we need to preserve it. So that, for me, is key.
Thank you, Jerry. What about you, Ebenezer?
Yeah.
What's on top of your mind this morning?
I think I'll join my colleagues in calling for peace.
Okay.
But there's one thing about peace. If there's no, there cannot be peace without justice. And so I call on the security agencies that they should ensure that this year's election, as we go into it, this is a crucial election, and there may be some skirmishes, even though we pray that it doesn't occur. But but they should ensure that whenever it occurs, there is justice served. When justice is served, people have that confidence in the system, and then they will support the process.
Are you alluding to your party's demands from the Peace Council and the government before they send that peace
It's
pact?
not necessarily, but I think it is a fact.
Just for clarity.
It's a fact
Okay.
that there cannot be peace without justice.
Okay.
That is a fact. So it's
All right.
not from my party, but
Okay.
that is a fact.
No problem. Yes. All right, gentlemen, let's get into the papers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic, and on the front page, Ogwamanhin celebrates 25-year milestone, and he says, involve chiefs in governance. Osaber Makwesiata II is advocating. We also have Cape Coast South opens race for NDC and NPP. Engage auditors to ensure electoral integrity. That is according to Justice Kodi Opong, urging the EC to do that. Let's start with the story of this call from Osaber Makwesiata II, advocating for chiefs to be involved in governance. And I also think that chiefs are actually involved in governance, just not the political dispensation of, issues or, the processes in the country. But let's get into the story. The paramount chief of Ogwa traditional area, Osaber Makwesiata II, has advocated the proper inclusion of chiefs in governance through appropriate legislation to accelerate socio-economic development in the communities. And he explained that chiefs played critical and socially acceptable roles as authorities through constant interaction with traditional structures, of governance and the communities. Therefore, their active involvement in local governance would positively impact their communities. How does this sit with you? Let me start with you, Ebenezer. This call from Osaber Makwesiata saying that we should actively involve chiefs in our governance structures.
I think it's a call in the right direction. Already, I think chiefs are already involved in our governance system, even at the local level, and calling for probably a review.
Legislation. I think that the issue is, for some sort of legislation
to support or to give them some kind of backing,
right,
that they can actively participate in our governance system. Yes, it is proper. It is in the right direction, because if you look at our chiefs, especially in Ghana here, where chiefs are highly respected at the community level, when they are involved in governance, it's going to yield some positive dividends for our communities. And so it's in the right direction, but some of these things has to be looked at very deeply. There's the need for a national dialogue on it, and because if we are getting a legislation for them to be involved in governance system, are we in a way, asking them to be involved in partisan politics? That is where the difficulty may be. Because these are respected people in society, and when you see people like this, if people like this are involved in active partisan politics, then it reduces the kind of respect society has for them.
Okay.
And so we have to look at it in a holistic manner to be sure whether we want them to be involved at where exactly we want them to be involved in, whether at a partisan level or to be involved in local level in terms of supporting our local development, or they want to be involved in national level politics.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to look at it holistically and see what is best fit for us, looking at how respectful our chiefs are in our society.
Mr. Money, chiefs are already custodians of the land, and I think they run a parallel judiciary system that, settles disputes at local level, even marriages and all that. And they also lead, or they work closely with local governments to lead development projects. Is that not enough?
Certainly we can leverage the the power they wield and the influence they peddle to advance the cause of development in their jurisdictions. And I don't know whether we need to do some constitutional re-engineering to ensure that this call aligns with what the Constitution says, or if there's a need for us to amend the Constitution, so be it. At the end of the day, it's the development of the people which matters. And as my brother said, even without this call, chiefs are involved in governance in the local areas. And when it comes to politics, even though the Constitution bars them from partisan politics, but we all see, we all hear.
Yeah, endorsing candidates here and there, yeah.
Without any let or hindrance. And I don't know what goes into the endorsement. And sometimes one party leader will come and they will endorse, another party leader will come and the same people will endorse the political opponent. And this reduces their credibility. And credibility is so important. So under no circumstances should chiefs, degrade that credibility, because it will reduce the influence they wield in the eyes of the people. So this is a wake-up call to the chiefs. Please, we know you vote, and I'm inclined to believe that they vote wisely, but your voting pattern should not mislead you to make pronouncements which might offend the sensibilities of the people you serve. Okay.
Jerry, what say you?
I think it's a double-edged sword. It's a call that, to a larger extent, makes reasonable sense. The reference to the Chieftaincy Act, Act 2008, in 2008, Act 759, may give us some cause to worry about. So what are the issues with the Act? Can the chief, are we looking at just being part of governance or being a political representative? These are for me the genuine questions. Can he be the one who still is a councillor? And can he be seen as the traditional leader of a certain community, so that whatever he says, like my friend from Ndebilla indicated, makes very powerful sense to the people? If the chief is now seen as someone who is politically biased, then his advice, decisions, instructions will not be taken seriously as it is currently. Now, there is some article by one Ben, what's his name? Ben Kwashi and Edem Happy.
Right.
And they basically dealt with the Ghana decentralized government system, the role of chiefs. And this was written in 2019. And then it tells you largely about how it is a problem to involve chiefs in deep political affairs, and so basically the advantages and disadvantages.
Yes.
And therefore, if you are not careful, so the chief is seen as an arbiter. He decides on very crucial matters which are both economic and social, and in fact traditional. So if you brought in a chief to now come and say, okay, I am a member of parliament for MPP, and I'm also the chief of a particular town, what roles are the chiefs or that particular chief going to play? Is it going to be a political head and a traditional leader at the same time? So then if you want to do any of this and you are a chief, what you have to do really is to step aside and go into the political domain. Because the view is that if you are a chief and you are also seen as a politician, you will not be seen as a very neutral person when it comes to deciding on matters which are traditional.
Okay.
When it comes to also preferring counseling to your community or your area in which you have a lordship over. So basically, I think that it's a double-edged sword. It's like he said, we may have to give it out there for people to decide on it, and it has to be a matter that should perhaps go through a referendum, and it's going to be a long haul. So it's basically up to us to look at it.
Okay. So basically, we should take a critical look at it and see, weigh the options and see which way to lean. Let's do some other stories. There's this story about IEA inaugurating a 9-member committee to start the processes for a national debate on the economy and all that. Will you be debating? That's the question I want to ask you after. The Institute of Economic Affairs has inaugurated a 9-member committee, and this is still the Daily Graphic, to organize debates for presidential and vice presidential candidates of political parties ahead of the 2024 general election. Inaugurated at the head office of IEA in Accra yesterday, it is chaired by the former Chief Justice Ofayo Kufu and includes some well-respected religious leaders, technocrats, and a foreign national. And as part of its mandate, I'm skipping to here the rationale. As part of its mandate, the committee is expected to select presidential candidates to participate in the debate, set modalities, process and approve questions, select and approve questions, select moderators for selection and approval by campaign teams of political parties, review and approve formats and guidelines for the presidential and vice presidential debates and evening encounters. And it's also been responsible for reviewing and approving guidelines for moderators, so on and so forth. And so the stage has been set. This 9-member committee has been inaugurated, and it looks like we might be having a debate after all. But I don't know for sure if the NDC will back down on their assertions that they don't intend to debate the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Let me start with you, Felmoni.
I think the NDC has made it an ironclad policy. Not,
ironclad?
Yes, not to take part in the debates. Maybe my brother will confirm. And I don't foresee them changing the stand. And this will certainly dilute the move by IEA to engage the presidential candidates in the debate.
Let me just add a bit of the story I found on this page. And she was saying that, that's the former Chief Justice, was saying that the committee had no power to compel any political party to take part in the debate, as it was not the first time that a political party had opted out of a presidential debate. And she noted that although all registered presidential candidates would be given the chance at the evening encounters, the presidential candidates for the debate would be selected based on statistics from Afrobarometer. And we also know, I had a conversation with Dr. Sorebo Kwek when he said so far about 19 individuals have picked up forms to contest for presidency as independent candidates. So perhaps this applies to not just the
Aside
NPP
from
and
the
NDC.
26 registered political parties.
Yeah, independent candidate, 19. And I'm wondering, should we be capping this number? On how many people can actually pick up forms and file for presidency before one day we wake up and half of the country wants to be president? Yeah, but so this is what we have. They can't compel them. Please finish your treatment.
Yeah. Any debate without the two front runners, to put it bluntly, no debate. Yes, in the past we've seen MPP declining their participation in the debate. NDC doing the same, and all because it's not institutionalized. Unlike other jurisdictions, the US, the two front runners will engage in the debate, and who dare you to run away from such debate? But here, the candidates have the latitude, freedom to say no or to say yes, depending on the agendas. The last time the excuse the MPP gave was that it wasn't part of their campaign strategy.
Yeah.
And now NDC is saying they will not debate someone they described in a very derogatory terms. So going forward, I think we need to make it part of our political electoral culture.
You think it should be backed by legislation? Make it compulsory for presidential candidates to debate? Yeah.
So going forward, I should think so. So that, what do you lose? Don't tell Ghanaians, you'll be subjected to all kinds of scrutiny.
On a common platform.
On a common
Pose the
platform.
questions, you answer, we weigh the options for ourselves anyway.
Yeah, so this is my...
Right. Jerry, I'll come to you, Ebenezer. Jerry, what do you say?
Well, I think flowing from Mr. Moni's assertions, there is the need for us to institutionalize the debate. That is first. And how do we do that? We should put in structures that if a party declines having a debate, there should be a form of sanctioning that party. Because what is the essence of the debate is to give the Ghanaian people the platform to appreciate, assess, and make a decision. So if there are 4 of us, and now you're even talking about 19 independent candidates. And the front runners are not willing to have a debate. And don't look at it from the viewpoint that I agree with my party originally not having a debate. I do not think that any party, whichever way form, whether you are in opposition or you are in power, you should first of all let the people understand that this is what I've done over the period. This is what I am able to do when I'm given the opportunity again. This is what I can do when I'm given the opportunity to come back to power.
I think the argument against that could be that that's what's captured in their manifestos and their campaign messages.
Exactly.
And so what more does a
exactly.
debate,
So
what more
you don't just
do?
come and scream your manifesto and run away. You are supposed to be evaluated by the Ghanaian who is going to stand in the queue and vote for you. And that's why I'm getting back to the point that I have not been in support of my party, which hitherto did not avail itself for a debate.
Right.
I think that each and every person who finds himself fit. You know, this is one of the reasons you can now see Kamala Harris running an election as the presidential candidate.
Yep.
For all you know, a candidate, and I'm not saying that Joe Biden had issues of imbecility or anything. I am only telling you that for all you know, that would be a form of assessing whether or not a candidate has the capacity to proceed.
Like we saw. And if it was not that debate where we saw that, you know,
And
those
you cannot
jitters
tell
and
me.
slips,
And you cannot tell me.
we wouldn't know the true
Cognitive
extent
impairment.
of,
And you cannot tell me that Kamala Harris is not doing the needful.
Okay.
I mean, I watched the nomination of a vice presidential candidate, the presentation by him, I think yesterday or the day before. I virtually wept when the son popped out and said, "That's my dad." Now, this man is also now supposed to have a vice presidential debate. Why? Because we want to assess him and to be sure that he has the mentis corpus. He is someone with eligibility, capacity, and can run the state or run government when given the powers to do so.
Please end on that note for me. Let me take Ebenezer's thoughts as well. Because you are the only ones who are, you know, as Mr. Moni said, ironcladly,
before you come to, and I do not
against
blame
the
them.
debate, yeah.
I do not. I only feel that it is proper for any person, who offers himself as someone who is okay to contest for such an high office, to also avail himself of a self-assessment by the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
And whether it is my party or any other party. If you look at it from now,
That's a progressive stand.
whichever way, then it means that you are even disrespecting the Ghanaian who is going to be in a queue to vote for you. And that's
Okay,
my point.
those are your thoughts.
Yeah, I think, like you rightly put it, my party is opting out of this debate, and we have given out reasons why we are opting out of the debate. And like we all said here, a debate is not something, this debate is not a compulsory thing. There are platforms that political parties have, or the institutes, like having town hall meetings, engaging community members, meeting organized groups, professional groups, and sending out our message to them. And so if at any point we feel like this is not the right time for us to have a debate, I'm not sure that is a big problem.
In your reasons, sir. But first of all,
The reasons.
as an individual, as a parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the NDC, you fully back this decision that the presidential candidate should not...
Debates in itself are not bad.
Okay.
Debates in itself are not bad. Okay. But I fully support the decision of my party not to debate in this circumstance. And so I think that we have several platforms. Our presidential candidate have been holding town hall meetings the whole country, all the 16 regions. We've been meeting professional bodies, preaching our message of hope to them. And we believe that that is the message that we need at this moment, and not to have a debate. So I fully agree with my party. I support it strongly. And just as it happened in the past, and there was no any problem.
Is this a tit for tat sort of?
Oh, not really a tit
thing?
for,
Because they refuse to debate, we will not debate this time.
Not really a tit
Or let me make it more practical. Yeah, beg your pardon. Let me make it more practical. If your opponent, so whoever is aiming for the Ndebilla seat on the ticket of the NPP, decides that he's calling you for a debate for the constituency, put both of you on a common platform, whatever your policies and plans or promises are, vision for the constituency are, and says, okay, Ebenezer, let's have a debate. What will be your response? If the constituents are demanding that before we go into the polls this December, they want you and your opponent to, on a common platform, tell us your vision, and then we get the chance to probe you at the same time. What will be your response there?
It is a choice for me to make. It's a choice to either accept to debate or not to debate.
But what would it be? We have just a few months.
We
have a few months to elections. I want to know.
You see, I cannot say because my party is saying they are not ready to debate or to take part in the IEA debates to say I will not participate in the debates at the constituency level.
Because you see the wisdom in a debate ahead of the election?
The context is different.
Okay.
Like I'm saying,
how different?
The context is different. I'm not going to debate any presidential candidate. I'm debating my colleague. My presidential candidate is supposed to debate a particular presidential candidate, and he has given reasons why he was not ready to debate with that presidential candidate.
These reasons are that you already have a manifesto, you're engaging people at the
I think the party, our national chairman has stated clearly that we are not ready to debate with
unprintable.
So I've seen that my senior here didn't want to mention it, and so I don't also want to go there. But we have given reasons why we don't want to debate, and one of the key reasons I want to put it is that
I do not.
My national chairman has been very clear.
Rehash just three of these
My
reasons.
regional chairman has been very clear that look,
one, it's not compulsory.
We are not ready to debate.
Oh, so you are not ready
to debate with a liar. That is very clear.
Well, so would that not rather be the premise for you to go and tell the liar all his lies? Would that not be?
The opportunity for you to say to the face of the person that you said so
it's a matter of principle.
Deliver on that.
It is a matter of principle that look, it is a matter of principle. It is a matter of principle held by leadership of the party that look, we don't want to debate with a liar. And that is it.
So
what I'm asking you now, Ebenezer, is that you as an individual, as a parliamentary candidate, see the wisdom in a debate. And so if your constituents are demanding it, you are not necessarily going to back down because your party says so.
Of course.
However, you refuse to see the same strategy, the same vein, how putting those two presidential candidate aspirants on the same platform would help us electorates make an informed decision?
The reasons advanced by the national may not reflect at my constituency level.
Okay, let's do some.
So I may be ready to debate my colleague.
I'll give you some 30 seconds each if you have.
I may be ready to debate with my colleague at the constituency.
No problem.
Because the reasons are not the same.
Jerry, you have 30 seconds.
Yes, I was hoping that my brother would see the progressive nature of running this country and to, as it were, think of the Ghanaian people and the need to respect the voter. And that if I'm coming to you to tell you that I would need your support, the best platform would be to get some scrutiny for whoever is going to vote for you. At this point, we are sitting here, this modern day in time, to call somebody or label somebody a liar, and that is the basis for which you are not going to debate the person. It's absolutely an hogwash principle. Because it rather gives you the platform to, as it were, tell the person, you said A, B, C, D. What have you been able to do about it? It gives you the other person the platform to explain. Now, let me actually tell you why I said just give me a second. This is because...
Your second is nearly up.
This is because I believe their candidate is not ready, like you rightly put it. They are not. Because if you are ready...
He did say that in his own words, that they are not ready to. Because but he qualified that...
And you know the readiness.
Debate someone who...
No, readiness may be in the form of the Biden type of readiness.
Oh, no. That is not the case.
We should scrutinize people.
We are saying we are not debating a liar.
Very
That's
well.
okay.
This
Ebenezer,
is the
that's
liar
fine.
who is willing to...
Mr. Money, please.
Our presidential candidate is a very capable
Ebenezer,
person,
let's
and
have
you
a
know that.
conversation. Let's have a conversation.
Yes.
Mr. Money, you want to respond to this, or should we get to other stories?
I think we ought not to set the past against the present. Otherwise, we stand the risk of losing the future.
Well said. Very well said. On the international front, I mean, so right here in West Africa, the military juntas have written to the UN, and that's the military juntas of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and they've written to the UN Secretary Council to denounce what they said was Ukraine's support for rebel groups in West Africa's Sahel region, the Mali's foreign ministry has said. And Mali cut diplomatic ties with Ukraine in early August over comments by a spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence agency about fighting in Mali's north that killed Malian soldiers and mercenaries from Russian group in late July. And so they're saying that it's not true. They don't have any support coming from Ukraine, etc. But that's the last story I'll do. I have one last story I'll do on the Daily Graphic on the back page, and then I'll come to you. Cocoa Abrapopa pays 11.5 million Ghana cedis to cocoa farmers. So the Cocoa Abrapopa Association, a farmer-based organization, has paid an amount of 1.5 million Ghana cedis in premium to 7,500 cocoa farmers across 5 cocoa growing regions in the country. And the cash premium, known as sustainability differential quote, saw additional 65,000 thousand Ghana cedis received per bag of certified cocoa sold to CAA, which is an increment from the 52.50 pesos per bag paid to farmers last year. But the reason I wanted to touch on this story is that for the first time in 32 years or so, Cocoa Board is saying that they're no longer going to be relying on external loans, syndicated loans to buy cocoa beans, and they're going to be sourcing for the money they need to buy beans for the season internally. Do you think we have the money to do that in the face of all the issues and exposés coming up, and how, you know, we need money to buy power, we need money for educational infrastructure, we owe WAEC, you know, BEC markings have been halted, or we don't know what's happening there. Yesterday I listened to the ranking member on the education committee saying that government should actually pay up with immediate effect. Where are they going to get the money from? Let me start with you. What are your thoughts on the current cocoa, you know, the current state of affairs of the cocoa sector?
I think in the last few years, there has been serious challenges in the cocoa sector. I think I read some news that was talking about Cocoa Board applying for a loan from a certain bank. It was declined or something. I don't know. I read.
That must have been some time past, but yeah.
Okay. I read that news somewhere some few months back, and so already our books are reading read, and that is why it's even proper that they come home to look for funds internally.
Right.
But like you rightly put it to, where will we get that funding? The financial institutions are already not in good shape, and I think that we need to probably look for some other investors who may be willing to spend money in the cocoa sector. Okay. Other than that, I doubt whether the financial institutions in the country will be ready to fund Cocoa Board in buying beans this year. Okay. And so maybe they have to look at some other investors and convince them.
Internal or external, because the story is that they do not want to go to any external sources.
Internally, and people who may have some confidence or who may have some kind of support from the financial institutions rather than government going into the banks again. Cocoa Board is most like the government. So I think that maybe they should begin to look at private investors coming together to support the cause in raising the necessary or the needed funding to buy cocoa,
all right.
Supply Cocoa Board.
That is my thinking. Mr. Money.
Every story has two or more sides. one side of the story, as peddled by Cocoa Board, is that they've weighed the options, and external loans come with interests which are jaw-droppingly high. So this time they raise the money internally to buy the cocoa beans. And
they will be saving us about 1.5 million CDs.
Exactly.
Dollars.
Exactly. And NDC claims that Cocoa Board is broke and is be blacklisted on the international market. So I think Cocoa Board should take a hard look at how they raise funds to buy the cocoa beans. And I've been wondering why over the years we've been chronically saddled with this issue of going for external loans to buy cocoa beans. Meanwhile, cocoa beans are hot cake on the international market. Why can't we save enough to buy without the sweat of going cap in hand to beg for external loans? These are my thoughts.
Jerry, make it brief for me, and then we come to your papers.
Very well. So I think that it's high time we do more of an internally generated fund thing for most of the state institutions that normally run out to go and look for money. Cocoa, as we are very much aware, is one of the major foreign exchange earners. I think that the product itself is turned into a final product that we are getting the chocolate and the cocoa drink and all of that in a manner that is properly branded and well done. It should be a reason for us to be making more money than always running out to look for some support. I think private partnership in current times is key. So if you do not even have the capacity, there are people within Ghana who are minded to support Cocoa Board to ensure that whatever monies we want to raise to make sure Ghana and Cocoa Board stands on its feet. It's key, and this is the time, really. So I think it's a call in the right direction, and we should support them.
Okay.
We should discourage people running out to always go and fetch money, and then there will be debt issues and debt restructuring.
In fact, our president was saying to the rest of African leaders a few days ago that we should try and be self-reliant and not be constantly going to external funds to fuel development agenda. But take me through your paper, and then let's discuss.
Well, that's a beautiful one on the Inquisitor, which says that the NDC launches manifesto tomorrow. So I'm sure my good friend, the Ndebilla incoming, is hoping and willing to go and give us a message of hope. Which message he doesn't want to come.
Are you there tomorrow? Are you at tomorrow?
Yeah.
Which message he doesn't want his presidential candidate to come and debate on. But yes, that is what is on the front page. And then it says the Honorable's Honorable Atachian speaks in an insightful interview with the Inquisitor. Then we have no community mining, no vote. And this is from Tonto Chrome residents who won again. And NHI pays over 1.5 million since June.
Which of these stories piques your interest?
The manifesto is good because I'm a politician, so obviously I want to know what my opponent is bringing on board. In fact, my friend on the other side is bringing on board. And then NHI pays over 1.5 million since June, and the free dialysis program is, for me, critical. Because you want to be sure that those who are even going to vote for you are healthy enough to go and stand in the queue to vote for you. So.
In fact, there was that interview with Ebenezer Ndebilla, and he was apologizing for all the tough times that those renal patients have been going through due to the breakdown or the challenges in servicing dialysis machines and all that.
Oh, well. Right. So it's also a critical matter I may want to launch into, but basically, since tomorrow is my good friend's day, we can narrow it down to the manifesto launch. And
I guess we'll wait to see what they
it's likely to be well versed on the matters, and they want to give us.
Ebenezer, what should we expect tomorrow?
Exactly.
We expect a message of hope, a message that will give Ghanaians the hope that things are going to change. A message that will come to reset Ghana a message that will...
There's that word again. Reset.
a message that will make Ghanaians feel like there's someone who cares for them.
Okay.
So we should expect a lot tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be talking about our manifesto, and the key highlights will be on our 24-hour economic policy, the big push, and
oh, you're coming back with the big push again.
and many other policies that will help us leap out of this economic crisis that we find ourselves today.
Anything in particular that you think you want to give us a scoop on that we should be looking forward to in the manifesto? It could be in terms of education, the youth. I mean, there are so many similarities. Although you are yet to launch your manifesto, there are so many similarities in the messaging. And I want to believe that it's because the problems we face are the same.
Yes.
And obviously the solution has to be the same. So it's the approach that each party wants to employ to solve these problems that, you know, the citizens have to absorb and be very critical about it. You want to inject about 1.4 million into the digital, you know, space for the youth. The same thing
Women's
that
bank.
the, you know, women's bank, women's development, something is the same thing, really. And so, really, what's that unique selling proposition that we should look forward to tomorrow?
Women of Ghana should expect a message or key highlights on the Women Development Bank that will be launched or will be opened when NDC comes to power in 2025.
If NDC comes to power.
When?
But that's
When we come to
Let's
so
just
is calling your
about
attention
8
to the fact
minutes
that
to
it's
go.
not
when we come to power. It's not if.
and that is why we all
Ebenezer, you're
started.
saying you don't want to debate, and you are very confident that
And
you are
that is why
coming
we
to
all
power.
We are
started
confident.
with the
Debate is not a
introduction
precondition.
by the president.
Yeah.
Debate is
the
not a
former president
precondition.
of GJ. There is the essential need to consider peace in every deliberation. Yeah. So when it becomes when, and rather than if, then we should be careful.
No, when is a matter of confidence.
See, these rhetorics.
It's about confidence.
These rhetorics have. You are not excused. Your party is not excused either. We've
I
heard
would
so
never-
many utterances for even the president say we will not hand over power.
Well,
Yes.
So this is,
So-
this
Yes.
is me.
Yes, I'm
I will
just
not
saying
come
that
and sit
both
here.
parties, both two major political parties in
The
this
president
country
of
are not
Ghana,
helping us.
No.
the president of Ghana himself has said that he will not hand over to
Anyway,
an
but
opposition party.
Ebenezer, what we are
Well, I
saying
don't
is
think
that
you want
We've had a
what we are
minister,
saying
the
is
whole,
that
a minister of Agri, Minister of
think
State,
you want to have that
who
reference.
stated,
I'll
that
catalog
he
all
will
your
not
references for
hand over power to any other political party, to the NDC.
My friend,
so
Let's
when I say
put
when,
a pin
I'm
in
talking
it.
about confidence.
Mr. Money.
The NDC
Yeah.
is very confident of winning
Yes,
this election.
you're
That's the point I
projecting
mean
your
by
faith.
when.
It's okay, Mr. Money. What paper
when
do
it
you
comes
have?
to goofs, now the parties is whiter than white, you know, purer than pure. And there's a need for them, especially the political leaders, to think through the consequences of their pronouncement, weigh the implications fully, whatever they put out there. Because the law of exposure by Maxwell teaches us that what repeatedly enters the mind shapes the mind and determines what you do. So if you preach violence, pump violence, you know, if you preach that we're not going to hand over power, we should go and bend the sea, and others will say something which will be similar in consequence with what their political opponents say, then we are gearing the people up for violence. And violence is that once it starts, no one can determine how it will end.
True.
There are copious examples we can learn from.
True.
So those examples, bad examples, should serve as fountains of lessons from which all of us, especially the political parties and their leaders, should drink.
Okay. And you have the Daily Searchlight.
Yeah, Daily Searchlight,
Just some quick stories on the
alleging tribalism and boss. I don't know how the paper can prove that. But what piques my interest is a new broadcasting law, which is before cabinet for approval. You know, this law had been incubating for years, and it gladdens our hearts that at long last it has been put before cabinet, and when implemented, it aims to reduce the excesses and the ownership structure in the media space. Ownership is a key issue. Ownership is said that whoever owns a media system, any media system, has some control. So they send some owners, media owners, regardless of the fact that most of them know little or next to nothing about journalism. They are dictating content. And this is another way of shackling the media practitioners and then reducing the space of peace, space of professionalism in the media front.
I had a conversation with the information minister a few weeks back, and she was saying that what's the highlight was to actually draw a clear line between the roles and responsibilities of the NMC and then the NCA. Sometimes they are overlapping roles and responsibilities, and you don't know who is responsible for what, and that's one of the things that they are hoping to fix with this broadcasting bill. So I mean, let them lay this bill before, let them pass this bill, and let's see what the details are and how we can actually.
We pray that this will be preceded by engagement, wide consultation.
True.
So that we all put our input, bring on board our input, and see how best we can.
Do you know the GJ has been consulted at all yet on this bill?
No, we sent a paper to the Ministry of Information when during the formative stages of this bill.
So there's been some engagement.
Yeah, been some engagement.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Let's do your paper now, and then we have to wrap up and go.
Yeah, the Ghanaian publisher. BBC residents send SOS to government as raw sewage floods their homes. This is in Tamakum 2. Information Minister highlights media role in governance. Then confusion rocks NDC over manifesto, which is clearly untrue. NDC is ready and poised for its manifesto launch tomorrow.
NDC is a human institution. NDC is a confusion can.
And I'm saying it's not true. I'm saying it's not true. There's no confusion. We are poised and ready, very much ready for the launch of the manifesto tomorrow at Winneba. And so we call on everybody. My brother here can even join me to come and hear the good message. Maybe it can help you make a decision as to whether you can defect and come back to.
I just want to sit down on the debate.
Anyway,
debate is not the only platform.
To wrap up your thoughts, and then we go. I'll start with you, Jerry. Wrap up your thoughts for me. Final words.
Well, I think that, first of all, what we started with is peace. It's critical that we go into this election peacefully. We need to preserve our homes, our families, friends, and Ghana as a whole. So we should not go into the election thinking that it's automatic winner for any person.
Yeah.
And that is where the problem starts with. So that you are too confident, and then the next moment you realize that you are not the one winning, then it becomes a problem. You are not willing to give up. So we should psych ourselves as Ghanaian people who are trading comfortably, having our bread and butter issues resolved, and hoping that things will be better.
Okay. Mr. Money.
Against the background of the do or die imperatives, which often characterize our elections, the political party, especially NDC NPP, should learn to subordinate the ambitions to win to the larger national interest. And the larger national interest contextually is peace.
Right.
And the best repeating that peace has no substitute, and peace is the ultimate of life.
Okay. We don't want to lose our reputation as one of the most peaceful or developed democratic, countries here in Africa. Ebenezer.
Yes.
Final words.
Yes, I think my colleagues have spoken a lot about peace, and I join them in calling for peace in this election. Everybody should be mindful of the peace that we enjoy, and we continue to enjoy. And that we would want that after 2024 elections, we continue to live in peace, and then everybody continues to do his or her normal duties. But I call on every Ghanaian to turn your attention to Winneba tomorrow as the NDC launches its manifesto. we'll be launching the message of hope to Ghanaians, and people should be glued to the television sets to listen to the message of hope and make their decisions. It's not just all about attending to debates, as my brother Jerry here would like to us to, okay. so that he can make a decision. So people should be glued to their sets tomorrow and listen to us. Listen to the incoming president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, deliver the well-crafted manifesto to the people of Ghana.
Thank you so much for those thoughts. But right before we go, there's this dedication coming from my producer. Happy birthday to Mrs. Yvonne Ayurebi Aqua, a.k.a. number 28, Baby Lass, Potomanto, Papa Yesu. Hey, your nicknames are so interesting. You are the branch manager at GCB at Shimota branch. The message from all your siblings from across the world is that may the Almighty God renew your strength on this day. May you never lack anything in this world. Happy birthday, Madam number 28, Baby Lass, Potomanto, Papa Yesu. All right, a gentle reminder that this segment is...
So before you go, I just have a program coming off on, on the 31st.
Okay.
And it's a program for children. And that is the more reason why I'm announcing it. It's not political. It's called Jerry Fest. It's a festival that I try to get children to have some sort of platform to have some education, entertainment, and largely fun. So it's going to come on the 31st of August, which is a Saturday, at 9 a.m.
Okay.
On the AstroTurf that I am constructing at Malam Bawi cluster of schools. And it's going to be fun-filled. So parents should ensure that they come with their children just for supervisory purposes, for them to come and have fun. Thank you for allowing me to use
all the best. Remember that the segment, it will follow. This segment is always brought to you by Endpoints Homeopathic Clinic, and I'm reminding you to take advantage of their freebies. It's free prostate screening for men and free fertility screening for women. Don't wait till something happens before you go running helter-skelter. Go and check. And you can find them on the Spintex Road, opposite the Shell signboard. And in Kumasi, you can find them at Kronoma Bohia, behind the Angel Educational Complex, in Takrade Anaji Estate, in Tema Community 22, in Techiman, Hanswa, in Esiama, in Zema. And you can call them on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234-321. Endpoints Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease.